I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?
You're breaking it down. If we can just get a connection to our divinity, like through our history, like that right there just makes you feel, just hearing you say that, that
value, that you have self-worth. You have self-value, and that's how you do self-esteem. But once you get the level of self-esteem, that is the bonding with others who have self-worth and self-value. The Yoruba had a word for it. Today we think of the Yoruba as some people in Nigeria, but during the genocide of the transatlantic slave trade, there was no nation called Nigeria. So Yorubas were spread all over West Africa. But when they saw each other on the slave ship, from the birth scarification to let people know what family they belonged to, they recognized one another, and they had a word to acknowledge that, to say, you belong to me and I belong to you. And that word is Lukumi. They call their religious traditions in Cuba Lukumi. But that word comes from saying, you belong to me and I belong to you. We need to practice and understand Lukumi. We need to know that you belong to me, Felicia, and I belong to you. Yeah. And that goes from the cradle to the grave. History gives you that bonding, because history informs and instructs you in the experiences of your ancestors, good and bad, in the fight to survive, in the victories they won, and the aspirations they had. And their culture, which is the rules and regulations that govern the building of their characters, that built the society they want their children to live in, will then become our behavior. Yeah. And one last, I know I'm already cutting you off.
That's okay.
The reason for all of what I've said, the primary motivation is to provide food, clothing, shelter, and safety for yourself and your family. Let's do that again. See, we leave that out. Yes, but why you go to college? I want to be a doctor. Why you want to be a doctor? Because I want to help people. You're lying. You go to college to be a doctor because you're going to make some money to buy food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for yourself and your family. Yeah. Later, okay? So what is the primary motivation for human activity? And that is to stay alive. And to do that, you must provide food, clothing, shelter, safety for yourself and your family. So all the other things I said we need to do, the purpose we need to do them is to be able to provide the food, clothing, shelter, and safety.
Yeah. So one of the things you said, you belong to me and I belong to you. And I was just thinking, I was like, if that's how I believe and that's what I say and that just is everything to me, then I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to kill you.
You hurt yourself.
Yes.
The reason we're able to kill each other in the streets the way we're doing and shoot in a crowd and hit a child and all of these things that we're doing, because we hate ourselves. We live in a culture that has taught us to hate ourselves, to hate everything we are. Even a lot of the gender playing that we're seeing now, where our brothers and sisters may not necessarily be gay, but they join that community because to stand up as a black man in America is rough. Let me stand up in another kind of way that I don't have to fight that battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that white community will accept me.
Yeah.
We think.
I was about to say,
that ain't what's really happening, because our gay brothers and sisters is dealing. That's why they say Black gay lives matter too, because somebody had shown them that Black gay lives don't matter to them. And I'll leave that subject alone. But the point I'm trying to make is that a people in every generation must carry on intergenerational transmission of the body of wisdom of their ancestors to the future children to be born. And that's what our jobs are. To do that, we must be able to provide food, clothing, shelter, and safety for ourselves and our family. To do that, we must be organized in communities and neighborhoods. To do that, we must control the economic, politics, and culture where we live. To do that, we must be in ownership of the real estate and in control of the retail and the wholesale where we live. The labor is there. That's us.
To even get to that point,
HAPI tries to lead us to that. Why we need to open black banks. Why we need to support the black banks that already exist. Why we need to learn how to open credit unions where we don't have black banks. Why we need to take that money and collectively and communally and cooperatively, as our tradition teaches us, and invest it together to buy that abandoned building that has been sitting there for 6 years, that we walk by spending $1 trillion, and then some other ethnic group come and buy it and we scream gentrification. Well, the building was sitting there. You spent $1 trillion. You could have aggregated that money and bought that building.
Yeah.
And created an income for the janitor, for the painter, for the carpenter, for the maintenance man, for the person who work in the rental office, etc. But we didn't do that because we didn't know what the responsibility of a group of people who have an identity is to one another. And so we do come back to the question of identity all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.